Welcome in. Hits and misses. Week 6, dynamic day of football. This is your first stop shop to react to the games. What are you going to vent about? Who did crazy great? Who went God mode like Chris Godwin? Who just sucked a bunch of balls like ETN? We're here to talk about all that stuff. So my name's Tumi. I go by FS Strategist on TikTok. Best friend Eric Pankey. Wow.
That is my name as well, Eric P. Football. Also,
Oh my god, my bad, bro.
all three.
Anyway, we are gonna talk about a lot of hits and misses. I'm on the list of misses already. Jesus. But there's so much we got to get into. Let's just get it going, man.
Let's go.
There are so many options. I'm going to almost pick it at random. That may be a good way to do it. I'm going to pick it at random, and we're going to react to it. If it's one of yours, you go. If it's one of mine, I'll go. All right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oof. Yes. Yay.
Ouch.
I get to talk about my guy here. And I don't have Bigsby picture here, but man, you see ETN. You see what he did. Fumble lost, missed that. Actually, both of these guys had a fumble loss, so they share that trait. Jacksonville, I believe that Trevor Lawrence was 4-1 prior to the game today in London. And so it was not unforeseeable for them to have a decent game against Chicago, who, from a defensive standpoint, they hadn't been super tested outside of against C.J. Stroud, and they lost that test. But there was a situation where you think like the Jaguars, they just kind of get it right in London. Oh my gosh, this man ETN, he lost his job so quickly today. I was surprised how ineffective he was. He went for negative rushing yards. Honestly, I don't even know where this 10 points came from. I don't know if he scored. I don't know if that's a typo. Like, he was terrible today. And Tank Bigsby wasn't that much better. He at least showed some explosion on kickoff returns. But this whole team looked completely inept. I still think even with Tank Bigsby's performance, ETN is really, to even say he's on thin ice may be like generous to him.
Yeah, I would have to say that isn't 0.10. That's actually negative 0.10 points that he came out of the game. Okay. So he actually does meet exactly what you said. If you have Travis Etienne, not going to lie, you're on pins and needles right now. You're very concerned. This team has to turn it around in a big way, give him opportunities, let him do big plays from here every now and then, earn his spot back if that's a capacity, a potential that he has, and really just see where it goes. He's had too many bad games in succession to have any kind of value, I think, for somebody to try to go ahead and trade for. If you can come up with some kind of package, we're going to come up with some missed players that you might want to consider putting a package together. Go ahead and try to get him off your team. He's really struggling right now for sure.
I don't know if you could trade this man at all. Like he is, I mean, let's just do like from a 1 to 10 droppable, 10 being 100% droppable, 1 being not droppable at all. To me, he's a 9. Like he's getting 9, maybe 8, maybe to be generous and say 8. If you have the opportunity to just hold on to him, they have another London game next week against the Patriots. Maybe that'll be a better situation. I'd like to see how they recover from just getting shellacked like that by Chicago, a team who had barely any players in Chicago had been in London like to play, and all of Jacksonville. These cats are so familiar with the like schedule and all that good stuff in London, and they just look like donkey ass. So I would probably hold him for a week if I could. I don't think you could trade him at all. I think if you throw him in a trade offer, it's kind of disrespectful. Yeah.
I would agree. You got to be concerned because London is where they generally perform well. They actually got shellacked out there. And so they play again next week. If they go ahead and stink it up again, you would hope that there's only a major change that's outside of his control, a coaching change, and try to sell him in that environment and say, hey, look, you get a new beginning with Travis Etienne. I want to wash my hands of him. You go ahead and you take him off my hands, and I'll go ahead and try to trade for someone who's actually on the up and up. If you can.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. If you can. That's the big thing here. All right. Let's see. Pick a number 1 through 17.
7.
Let's go number 7. All right, so this is another one of mine. I don't know if you want to touch on this first, though. I mean, you saw the games.
Yeah, I saw the games. I think we're going to go is Bucky Irving's a very good runner. These guys were dominating both of them performing better than arguably who's the current starter on paper. So,
yeah, so Bucky Irving this week, I wouldn't say controversial, but when we found out that Rachaad White went from questionable to a game time decision to basically being doubtful to out, all the hype started generating for Bucky Irving. And I still think, even with what happened with Sean Tucker, this was a very good situation for him. I think that he was the lead guy. Sean Tucker just made some big plays. And even late, if you look at the stat line, I think they were close to 14 for around the same amount of rushing yards. Sean Tucker just made an amazing play in the passing game. But then at the end of the game, he got an additional 70 yards in garbage time. So it definitely looks way worse than it actually was. But even still, like you said, they're getting more from these two than we've seen from Rachaad White all year easily. Bucky Irving just a much more impressive runner than Rachaad White. I've said that ad nauseum. Sean Tucker, that receiving is not his bag like that, and he really showed out today. There's no way you just say, "All right, Rachaad, here you go. Here's 70% of the work again." That's dumb, bro. Rachaad White and ETN are very similar in the fact that we're getting to droppable status. I was debating so hard if I should drop Rachaad White to pick up Tyrone Tracy in a certain league. And when that league, I didn't do it. And I feel like a dumbass for that. I should have probably just dropped him. Because there's no world where Rachaad the dominant share that he used to have. That world is literally, that's done. That's over.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with that. Bucky Irving is a much more creative, just better back. I mean, there's the NFL. You want to put your best talent out there. That's what's going to happen. It's going to take off. Bucky is going to be eventually, maybe as of next week, the lead dog in the backfield for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I think he's the lead dog. I think it's almost more about so what are you even doing with Rachaad White? As that team, I'm not going to cut him. I'm talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to struggle to give him more work than Sean Tucker even. I want to see how things progress in practice. But to me, Bucky is 1A. You guys are now fighting for 1B. And that's a scary proposition if you're really relying on Rachaad White.
Big time.
All right, let's see. There's got a couple of questions in here. So would you still keep Bucky Irving or try to get Tucker? Yeah, you keep Bucky. The thing that you really got to look at, Jose, this stat line looks crazy. It looks like Sean Tucker dominated the game. And he had a really big pass play led to the touchdown. That was an incredible play. He ran the ball really well. There was a point in the fourth quarter where it was complete garbage time. Their yards were very similar. But then at the end of the game, you look and he had 70-something more yards and another touchdown. It was all garbage time. So Bucky Irving is the guy. He is the number one guy. We're not dropping Bucky Irving. He's the guy in the backfield. Just want to let you guys know that. All right?
Totally.
All right, I'm going to just find one of yours, man, because these things are so tiny. Is this
all
one?
Good? Josh Downs. He was one that I wanted to pick because a lot of people were debating about Pittman. Pittman had the unbelievable volatility this week of almost going on IR, turning it around, and somehow playing the game and doing pretty well. But what I want to focus on is those 9 targets. He had 7 of 9 targets, 66 yards, and a touchdown. People have argued that Josh Downs is the better wide receiver in the entire room. And I think even when Anthony Richardson returns, people can probably assume that he's probably going to return next week. He was on paper to actually come back today. I think he's much more comfortable, as he's mentioned before, with the route tree that Josh Downs runs. So I think going forward, you're going to have much better opportunity. Probability Josh Downs will start to outperform Michael Pittman. Pittman probably will be force-fed to go ahead and maintain the name value and him being on the team. But Josh Downs, a lot of people come to the conclusion, is the better wide receiver on that team. And he gets the more separation. And I think the route tree favors the tendencies of both quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's I don't even know if it favors the tendencies, more so Josh Downs is an incredible route runner. He is just so much quicker than Pittman. And if you're looking at what are the things that Josh Downs does well, Pittman, he does everything basically better than Pittman underneath. Pittman's probably a little better deep down the field, but Alec Pearson, Adonai Mitchell, and Ashton Doolin, they have guys who are just, that is what they are. They're nothing else but deep ball guys. So then kind of where does that leave you with Michael Pittman Jr.? Now with Joe Flacco starting, I'm still going to take my shots on Michael Pittman Jr., right?
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson is where I really am just not super interested for real. But to me, Josh Downs is truly carving himself as an essential piece of this offense. No matter what, like Flacco is looking for him. I'm trying to find like the team stats. I can't find it. I will be very surprised. Oh, here it is. I'll be very surprised if he's not leading this entire team, and he's not leaving receiving because Alec Pierce is doing that for sure. But he has 26 targets, but he missed a couple games. Pittman still has him there because he started so hot with like target share, but just really no production. I agree with you 100%. Pittman is really just not it to me. If you have any opportunity to sell Pittman high, you have to be basically playing with the Rube. But if you could, I'd sell him high. Josh Downs to me is the future of the receiving core.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's move on to another guy. Oh, I'm skipping these guys. Hold on.
I was about to go in.
Not yet. Not yet. I'm not ready for that yet. Let's get it. Let's get positive again.
All right, I got you.
The Godwin. Chris Godwin went ape. I'm gonna stop cussing. He went crazy. He went nuclear. 36 points, 11 of 13 targets for 125 and 2. We didn't include Mike Evans in the misses, but where's his stat line? He had 5.4 points, 2 of 6 receiving, 34 yards. He got dinged up. He was like in and out of the lineup, right?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. And also, he wasn't like, so I was going back and forth with people on my lives and stuff saying that Marshawn Lattimore is going to shadow him. He did not shadow him. I thought I thought that was kind of weird. But they didn't feel the need to shadow Mike Evans with Marshawn Lattimore. And we know what that typically looks like every year when them getting into fights, basically getting ejected and all that stuff. We didn't see any of that. We just saw Chris Godwin dominate. And I was getting a lot of flack for putting him in my top 4 this week. I clearly was justified. This man was bonkers. He went crazy. I think it was because like last week, Mike Evans had like 2 touchdowns. But it's just you got to react to the matchups, right? And this matchup is set up for Godwin to dominate. The scheme is we talk about Godwin every week. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but he balled out.
Yeah, he's a guarantee. If you can acquire him in a trade, go and pull that trigger. Just get him on your squad.
100%. Great questions. Make sure you guys keep throwing them in the chat as you think of them. And make sure every single person in here, if you're watching, make sure you're subscribed. We're just going to be crushing through these reactions, man. And we want to make sure you guys stay a part of the journey. Every single week we do this after the game. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like this video. That's free. I feel like, come on. You should do that just to be nice. And if you like the content, you should like it. And make sure you throw in a comment. One thing I'd love to see, so there's like a couple people watching right now. In the chat or in the comment of the video, let me know your biggest hit or your biggest miss of the day. If there was a person who just boned you today, let's just do the miss. Let's just stay negative. It was a person who boned you today. Put that person in the comments. Put that, like, I'm assuming Chris Olave is on the list. Marvin Harrison Jr. is on. Like, there's a lot of options today. So put that player in the list and let me know kind of how it worked out for you. All right, if Flacco doesn't start, does Downs still have great upside? A little less upside. His upside is going to be a little more capped. But Josh Downs and like you said, Eric, like Josh Downs, Anthony Richardson they're I don't know if they're best friends, but they're very close. Same draft class. They've been together. They've been close ever since they got drafted. So I think that he'll be solid. It's just going to be a little bit more variable in his production.
Couldn't agree more. Anthony Richardson, we've seen how that man accuracy is, and he ain't really got it like that.
Yep. And here we got live feedback from. So we did the pre-game live. Make sure you guys are hopping on our TikTok because we're doing rapid start sits all day. And Isaac here, smart. He was in there, told him Godwin over Reed, and look what happened. Reed did well, but Godwin went crazy. And so, you're probably starting both of these guys, but you got to always start Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin's an automatic start no matter what.
Yeah, he's dominating this year. This is his year.
This is his year, man. This is his year. All right, so we're going to talk more and more about there's so many guys who just shit the bed today. We have to get into that. But we're also going to talk about all these guys who broke out. So let's just hear a little quick word from the podfather and be right back on the other side of this break.
Oh, hey, it's Mr. Breakout Finder coming at you. The Breakout Finder features 3 key tools. a database of metrics that include speed score, college dominator, breakout age, but also breakout finder only stats like dynamic score, level of competition, teammate score. All of these things are part of the overall breakout finder algorithm that pinpoints the probability that a player will break out. Everyone's talking about my model does this and my model does that. Well, we give you the data points that go into the model. We have a feature that lets you compare players, and then we give you the precise probability of every wide receiver, every running back, sorted and filterable by class year. So when I'm talking to my friends and I need to show them why I'm so bullish on player X, I pull out the breakout finder and bam, there he is. So go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's $5 to get the breakout finder, and then a couple extra bucks to get some of these additional enhanced stats. Go download it and thank me later.
Appreciate that, Podfather. Make sure you guys go download that and your assignment, your homework right now. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Do it now. Turn on the notification bell to know whenever we're going live. There's always a show on this channel, guys. Like, we're kind of obsessed about football here. Fantasy football in particular. There is something here for you, no matter what. So if you're not subscribed, you're missing out. Like my man Isaac said earlier, like there's gold in here, and you got to make sure you're tapped in because we are just. What is that?
Oh, that's my football. My swag I added. Had to show it off a little bit.
he's turning up on the decorations over there, man. But yeah, make sure you guys are subscribed, man. And also, again, if you're watching this video, if you're watching it after the fact, or if you're watching it live, right now in the chat or in the comments, put the player that messed you up the most, and maybe these guys are on the list. I'll let you go.
Okay, Deshaun Watson and Will Levis. We have seen enough to come to the conclusion these guys aren't it. They're hurting the people on their team. They're not effective quarterbacks. Like, what do you else have to see? 168 yards and 103 yards in a passing league is all they've done. Deshaun Watson is killing. Who is Jerry Jeudy? Who is Amari Cooper? Who is David Njoku? Joey Flacco was on this team, was the comeback.
3 first-round picks.
Huh?
3 first-round picks.
Yeah, and he's not able to make anything happen. Joey Flacco took this team and became comeback player of the year last year. This man sat and watched him, saw how effectively he did it, and you're coming out giving this kind of performance. If you have Deshaun Watson, cut that man. I was about to go ahead and say some 4-letter word. Cut him. Don't deal with him. Will Levis, you're coming off of a bye, and this is what you produce.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley, how many targets did he have? He had the same amount of catches I had when I sat on my sofa watching football. He ain't have none. 8 targets, 0 catches for Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley is known for how well he runs routes, the separation he can get. You a quarterback in the NFL, and you can't get a reception to a man with those kinds of what? Get this trash off your team. These dudes are horrific, and I don't care if they come across this video. You need to hear this. They terrible. Deshaun Watson, Will Levis, I got nothing. I saw that and was like, yo, if that's what they accept, I want to be a quarterback in the NFL.
So, I appreciate the passion. Like these cats, let's just break it down piece by piece. Will Levis, I do not know. Like, he's not a starter level NFL quarterback. I'm a Colts fan. I'm a diehard Colts fan, so I'm always going to be biased, right? There's like our defense is really bad. Our defense is bad. Our defensive backs are worse than our front seven. We're completely banged up all over the place. You could take advantage of these guys all day, and they couldn't do anything to them. Now, they ran the ball well. They ran the ball better than most teams have over the last few weeks, but like, yeah, you got to be able to like complete some basic passes against this defense. Now, he didn't turn the ball over. No, he did. I don't know what I'm talking about. He did turn the ball over. But it was the last play of the game. Like, I can't trust in this team, and I can't trust in the pieces of the passing game. Like DeAndre Hopkins, like they talked all summer how Brian Callahan was going to have this pass-first team. They're very much in the middle of the field, if not run heavier than pass heavy, because their quarterback sucks ass so much. Like, he is not a starter level quarterback. They need to go to Mason Rudolph, and that's crazy that that's an upgrade. Now, Deshaun Watson, this is one of those ones where, unfortunately, he's played so terrible that this is almost okay today. You know, like, and this is less from fantasy, more from like real football standpoint. Like, he kept his team in the game. He didn't have any turnovers. He was 16 to 23. I mean, I've seen worse games for a quarterback. There was this one, I don't know who compiled this stat of all the quarterbacks who've played in the NFL, but there's like 650 something, or sorry, 750 something quarterbacks who've played in the NFL, and like they graded all of them. I believe he was ranked 745th in that list based on his play this year. Like, how he's playing this year was like ranked that low. I'm fudging the numbers, but he's in the bottom 5, bottom 10 of like a lot of like MFers. So yeah, like, I'm not depending on these guys, and no one has these guys on their fantasy team, but you have the players that they're dependent on your fantasy team. So like Amari Cooper, that's tough. Like, that's a tough one to hold on to. And Joku, it's hard. Like, he's okay, but it's hard to hold on to guys like that. Like, I'm not gonna have any expectations for these guys. If any of the players associated with these two does anything, that's an automatic sell high. Automatically package them, get them off your team, or just cut them. Like, I'm not gonna tell you guys to just hold dead weight on your team, especially as we continue to get into these buys. So it is what it is, brother.
Yeah, one of the questions by Isaac, he actually brought up something I forgot to mention. Nick Chubb has to put this team on his back. Like, it's literally on his back and his broken, just healed ankle. He has to be world out of this world, unbelievably different in order to make a difference on this team. It's Nick Chubb is the Browns. Instead of calling the Cleveland Browns, call the Cleveland Nick Chubb, because that's literally how much responsibility he's going to have going forward. He has to turn this entire franchise around and be that level of a difference maker. So it's insane.
It is crazy, bro. It's crazy. But enough of that garbage. They've wasted too much time on the show. All right, so real quick, we got a question. Please help start Chase Brown or James Cook in PPR. So for me, because Zach Moss is going to play, and Zach Moss, even though like I know everyone really loves Chase Brown, and I think there's a ton of upside there. Zach Moss had like 70% of the snaps last week. It doesn't look like it or feel like it, but that's what happened. Zach Moss gets all the goal line and he gets all the third down work. But Chase Brown could turn one play into like a 70-yard touchdown. I get that. If I had to bank on James Cook or Chase Brown, I would personally rather invest some bench spot in Ray Davis, hold him on Monday night, and just rock with whatever Bills running back is starting, versus potentially playing Chase Brown in a game where Zach Moss gets most of the work. In a game I think that they're going to win, honestly, comfortably. Like, they're 1-4. They cannot lose to the Giants. Like, they have to beat this team. And so in a game like that, I see Zach Moss being pretty effective. Both of them are low-end RB2s, and I just rather take a shot on James Cook. And if I don't get James Cook, I'll be happy with the backup there.
Yeah, I can see that. I guess the only game script that I could think of where Zach Moss might be nullified is they're trying to run through the line, and the Giants have that super defensive monster in the middle. I think I forget his name, but he's crazy dominant, and they try to just start passing it to the PPR back in Chase Brown. But I still would roll with the Bills running back, as you mentioned before, because that's pretty much how their offense, no matter what the script is, goes through pretty heavily.
Yep. I hear you. Let's talk about these guys.
Injuries, I'll go ahead and say they did get hurt. However, it hasn't been pretty this season so far. Marvin Harrison Jr., he clicks every now and then, but he's not really meeting your expectations considering all the hype that he has behind him. And you just expect more. Even the games where he does well, you're like, it was really good. I appreciate it, but it seems like it's a lot of meat left on the bone.
Yeah.
You understand?
A little more, man.
Yeah, so you're really disappointed. Olave, man, it's like this season is against him. Like, Rashid Shaheed is the receiver you want on the Saints right now. And it's like, if it can go left for Olave and not work out for him, it's going left. It's like he must have done something crazy this summer to have this kind of luck going into the season this year, because it has not been working out for my man. I'm just going to keep it real. It's not looking good for Olave. If it can go left, it does for him.
You're right. Like, this is a come to Jesus moment for me, man. Like, I was high on Olave because everything was set up for him, right? Like, I'm an opportunities over anything type of person, and the opportunities are there. Now, you got Clint Kubiak, great scheme for a receiver. You have a strong arm quarterback in Derek Carr. You have the scheme, and we saw week 1, week 2, it was working perfectly, right? And Chris Olave, even though like he kind of has like a little bit of like an F up gene in him, like he just decent amount of drops. Like no matter what, he's just always going to drop the ball. But I was just thinking the opportunities are there. I even thought that Rashid Shaheed actually there was a chance that he could be the number 1, but still, even still, there's 2 receivers. Your opportunities are going to be there. And I'm not going to kill him for getting a concussion. Clearly.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Like you can't help that. But on that play, he fumbled the ball before he got hit. The guy popped the ball out, then he got hit in the head. Like it wasn't like I got hit, let go of the ball. I'm never gonna fault somebody for fumbling. I mean, get knocked out. I mean, how the hell, you know what I mean? Like, how are you gonna keep on to the ball?
True.
Just look at that replay. He already fumbled. Like the ball was out, and they were gonna get it, and they picked it, scooped, and scored. I think that I'm just kind of done trying to figure it out with this guy. Now, he's going to have great games. He's going to come back as a concussion. He's not going to be out for the year. He'll come back. He's going to have some good games. I just don't know if I'm in the business of trying to, like, predict when he's going to go off. He'll be a low-end wide receiver 2 to me, maybe high-end wide receiver 3. He'll be in the mix every now and then. He'll make his way higher than that, especially with bye weeks. But me trying to think that he's going to figure out some way to be consistently top 12, that's just not who this guy is. And I just can't keep relying on this, man. I don't know what Rashid Shaheed did, but every time I look at Rashid Shaheed, I'm like, man, that looks like the number 1 on this team.
Yeah, he's a baller. He's just a baller. The man returned a punt. If he's not getting it in the air with the passes, he is in so many opportunities. He just makes the most of them. The guy is very effective at playing football. That's just what we've seen throughout the season so far. And it seems to be the opposite narrative for Chris Olave. So you don't want to really put your season in the hands of somebody where things aren't really coming together for them, and things really are for Rashid Shaheed. I mean, you got to go ahead with what you're seeing on film. That's just all we got. And it ain't painting a pretty picture.
100%, man. Like I'm like the Rashid Shaheed just feels like that type of dude who like you go to the court and he's like he may just have some weird like Air Forces or something on at the basketball court, but he's just gonna give you 20. He's just going to go there and give you 20. He may not be the most athletic looking dude or anything like that, but he's just going to put up buckets. And he has like some weird shot or some weird release, but it just gets in the net. Like
I know
that's
exactly what you're talking about.
Like it's just that's the cat. Like no one's going to think, oh my God, whoever. Like just I mean, I guess I'll just pick you up on my team, and he's just going to put like he's going to put 22 on you real quick. Like, he just know how to ball. You know? Good question here. So Spencer Rattler. So this is one of probably my worst picks of the day. I thought New Orleans was winning this game. Clearly that didn't happen. But like, I did like what I saw from Spencer. Like it was very close for a decent amount of time, and then it's 51-27. That's not close at all. But like during the game, I was like, that was the Spencer Rattler I was expecting to see. And I was telling you before, like if Spencer Rattler figured out the way to start to stack some wins in Derek Carr's absence, I do think that there could be like a quarterback controversy, and that could still happen. But it's unfortunate that they got like blown the hell out like this. But yeah, he looked good. I can't hate on him. I mean, 2 picks isn't great, but he looked like you saw the like upside of him. You saw his moxie. Now not perfect quarterback play, but you saw like opportunities for like growth there. He's another one of those guys who just given the ball, he's gonna ball. He's not gonna look great in practice. He doesn't have the strongest arm, but he's gonna give you a shot.
That's what I wanted to say. When you say you could see the opportunity for growth, he's somebody who wasn't afraid of the moment. You know, he took his skill set and the best of his abilities, and he gave the Saints everything he had as a quarterback that he is. So he's not someone that seems scared. He's not someone who seems like he was lacking in between the ears. He didn't know what to do. He couldn't manage the game if it was, tossed up to him to go ahead and do so. So he was effective. He even made positive plays. There's a guy with the last name Means. I didn't even know he was on the team. He saw that guy in the end zone and gave him a touchdown. He takes, it seems, what the defense gives him, and it seems like with more opportunity, he's going to be someone who will get better. So you feel a little bit more confident if you're, say, a Saints fan or somebody like that, if you really depend on Spencer Rattler going forward. So I'd be a little bit more comfortable than having anybody else who seemed a little bit more rattled. They wish they didn't have this opportunity thrown on them because Derek Carr has the oblique injury. This is someone who seems like he's lucky, that he's happy to have this opportunity, and he wants to give his best and actually execute properly for the Saints and actually make things happen. That's what I took from the way he carried himself and played the game that I just saw.
100%, 100%, 100%. I'll give you the option. So we have this guy or this guy. Where do you want to go?
Boy, Trey McBride. Let me say some good things about somebody. Trey McBride. I felt comfortable last year when he started showing up after Zach Ertz was traded. And what I really want to point to is the 8 of 8 receptions. Of course, Arizona didn't win the game, but Trey McBride is someone who's very effective at the tight end. Tight end has a whole lot of people who aren't as effective. We're not really meeting expectations. They call it a wasteland as opposed to how it was last year when it seemed like if you had a top-tier tight end, they were getting off every week. Trey McBride is someone who you probably spent a very high level of draft capital on, who when he plays, Kyler Murray is very trusting of where he is on the field. And I think Trey McBride showed in this game, even with the loss of Marvin Harrison Jr., as we alluded to previously, he tries to help move the ball. That's 96 yards, and that's 8 of 8 receptions. So this is someone you can count on, even though Arizona kind of got waxed in this game, that this is a particular player at the tight end position who, if you have them, if there's somebody that you'd like to trade for, you should feel very comfortable that if they stay healthy, he did miss a couple games due to concussion, that he's actually someone that you can count on going forward.
Mm-hmm. And that's a great point. The thing that's interesting about Arizona is I've always thought that they're going to be like a good chasing team. Like their defense is never going to be great. They just don't have the bodies for it. And their offense, they've been trying their best to be like a really run heavy offense at first. They just keep losing offensive linemen. They've lost the right side of their offensive line. And so that's why, James Conner had a terrible day today. Like, you're just not going to be able to run consistently with the offensive line that they have. And if your defense can't stop anybody, you're going to be chucking it. Now, because of that, Trey McBride is in a perfect situation to get these targets, especially with Marvin Harrison Jr. not being a consistent option in the offense. I do think there's definitely a discussion that needs to be had about Michael Wilson being added on waivers and everything, but Trey McBride is the guy. He is the trusted asset. And just in the NFL, when you're running the ball and you're trying to at least run the ball and do it effectively, when you hit that play action, the place in the NFL that is the easiest to get those yards is in the deep middle of the field. That's his bag. That's where he lives. And so Kyler Murray knows that. I think that we're due to see like a little bit of a resurgence from like his really slow earlier start. But now he's giving us consistent weeks, and I think he's going to start giving us more consistent tight end 1 weeks moving forward.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm trying to find somebody. All right, why don't we talk about him?
Zay Flowers, we had a question 2 weeks ago where someone was comparing whether or not they should take Zay Flowers or somebody else. And it was kind of surprising to me because, in my opinion, Zay Flowers, you wrote in our show notes, the Tasmanian Devil. This guy's agility is like it comes off the TV as an NFL player. He just knows how to get open. He clearly has the trust of his quarterback, and the man is just very effective. As you can see, as a wide receiver, 9 targets, 9 catches. Many people get a lot of targets, but they not catch 100% of their targets. This means his separation, his ability to run the routes, his timing, and his connection with his quarterback are very well inbred in this player. Zay Flowers is an extremely good player. So I don't think we should have many questions where people say Zay Flowers or such and such. Zay Flowers should be a set it and forget it player. And he showed you today, even though the Ravens are really known around the NFL right now of how dominant they are running the ball. They get a lot of those, because Derrick Henry and, of course, the quarterback, my man, can run really well. But you got to give a lot of respect going forward with Zay Flowers. He's different. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to put some respect on his name. And I just want to go ahead and show him his flowers today because he really balled out.
I see what you did there. All right. But like Zay Flowers, I do think there's a little, you could have a little bit of a question about sometimes his consistency depending on game script. But this was a game script where it's like there's no question. You play the Commanders, you start the receivers. You just do that automatically. This team is really bad defending the pass. But even still, this 132, I didn't check it, and I don't know if you know. Did he just do this in the first half?
He did a large part of it in the first half. He was killing in the first half for sure. So he could build on top of this, but dude is just good. He gets open and has the trust of the quarterback for sure. Shout out to Mark Andrews sighting. We did see that this week as well.
Yeah, good. I mean, we saw the ever elusive Andrews make some plays, man. All right, let's see. We got somebody bragging, somebody humble bragging. Oh, I'm 5-1 with too many receivers. Trade Mike Evans and Ayuk for Tyreek.
Whoa.
I mean, even with what happened today or this week, I would try first to go like Mike Evans plus a slightly lower name for Tyreek. But I don't hate this trade at all because I think you're going to be getting Tua not next week, but probably the week after that. And once you get Tua, Tyreek's back to being a top 3 guy. So if I would, first of all, I would definitely slide in a slightly lower offer. If they don't take you up on that, I'm fine with this, honestly.
Yeah, Ayuk has been fairly disappointing, like you alluded to. With all the money, with people being hurt, he only had 1 week where they really made sure to get the ball to him. So if you could really go ahead and get something in return for Ayuk, like you said, Tyreek is going to ball out once Tua shows up. You just hope Tua shows up and stays there. Tua got to know how to slide because Tua know he actually is not built different. He's built like a regular human who's very susceptible to getting knocked out. So he needs to understand that and start sliding and not even putting himself in a position like he did to get in the situation he's in right now. Yeah. So that's what you hope for Tua.
Yeah, I mean, I personally hope he retires, but he's not listening to me.
Yeah.
What about Waddle? So for me, Waddle, I'm fine to buy low on him. Like you could buy him incredibly cheap. So if you want to go acquire him, that's fine. But it is very clear once the offense is up and going, it seemed to be very clear that it was Tyreek Hill and it was Achane in the run game. Now Mostert's healthy, so that's great. But even Achane was getting 7+ targets a game in the beginning of the season. So it's just kind of hard for me to really buy into Waddle, but who knows? Like Waddle's great. He could always just become awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
I've got Waddle myself, and I asked the question myself. I mean, what could I get for him? Nobody's really going to trade because he hasn't really performed, but we all trust his talent. Waddle is one of those dead zones you got to keep on your team because he's too good to drop, and no one's going to take him in a trade right now. So that's kind of where you are with Waddle.
You're just holding that man on your bench, man.
Absolutely.
Now we got to talk about this game. Golly. And honestly, sorry guys, he didn't get 6 points. He had 5.22. This was they've been beaten before in an embarrassing fashion. I mean, this year. Actually, this is the 3rd time this year they've been beaten in an embarrassing fashion. But there's just something felt different today. Because at least in those other games, and I'm just talking from a fantasy perspective, chasing Dak is still productive. Like chasing Dak is still giving you touchdowns. He's still giving you a ton of yards. This was just putrid. And we're kind of getting to the point where they don't have any defense to rely on. They're just so mashed up. And also they were already thin even when they were healthy at the beginning of the year. They have no running game. And I think this is kind of just annoying. It's like Jerry Jones, bro, you can't just make the shit work without those things. Those are very important. You're kind of setting Dak up, CD up. You're setting up this team offensively to fail consistently. Now, he won't be this bad again because you could clearly tell, especially since Detroit was throwing very late in that game. Detroit had a little bit of a bone to pick with Dallas. You know what I mean? Based on that Dan Skipper ineligible lineman call, yada yada. If there was a drinking game for how many times the damn commentators mentioned that damn Dan Skipper, I would be pass out, blackout drunk. But
yes.
So they clearly had a vendetta, but still, you gotta have some pride. And again, in fantasy, you gotta give me something if you're chasing the entire time. What's going on? That's one of those ones I haven't had a chance yet because the game just ended. I want to look at that 22 and just be what was going on here, man? Because this was a matchup. Detroit's defense, especially with Aiden Hutchinson going out, hopefully he's okay, but it looks like that's a terrible injury. You can get busy on this Detroit defense in the passing game.
You're definitely right. If you are a Cowboys fan, you really have to be concerned because this was a game where even everyone said it's probably going to be the highest scoring game of the week. No one thought it'd be one team scoring all those damn points by themselves to hit the over. This was highly unexpected, even from my perspective. And I think as the pressure in Dallas, as it tends to grow and it can blow out of proportion. They need to get a grip. They need to come to terms. You need to emphasize your strengths. I think everyone expected Tolbert to all of a sudden step up as a WR2 who's going to just blow the top off and be almost as good as CeeDee Lamb. he is not that guy, at least in this game, from what we can see. CeeDee Lamb is understood to be the vacuum of this offense, but even as good as he is, these defensive coordinators are paid to go ahead and remove him from the game as much as possible. So where else, like you said, do the Cowboys go? It's not like Dak really runs as much as he used to just to keep the chains going. And they don't have a defense to lean on to try to have the kind of game script that they had in this game. They got a lot of work to do in Dallas, especially to meet expectations. I mean, this is, like they said, a historical loss. They're talking about how since before the triplets even showed up with Aikman, Irving, and Smith, they ain't had their ass waxed like this in a minute. So it was literally one of those. This one of them. I understand someone just said he's trying to mentally recover. I get that. I see what you're talking about. This was really awful.
This is the fourth time in the last. I guess the calendar year. I don't know when they got that ass beat in the playoffs. Like, they gave up 40 so many times, bro. Like, they give up 40 all the time. But the only thing is, I will say again, if you're a Cowboys fan, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you because your team is like really bereft of talent. And I don't know if they want Dak there. It seems like they don't. But in fantasy, I do expect games like this, even when they get that ass blown out, to still lead to better production for Dak. So I'm not going to sell him right now. You just got to kind of eat games like this because typically when he's chasing, he's better than this. So I don't freak out about that.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the last one I want to go through in detail, and then we'll probably just do some real quick rapid fire before we get out of here. I know the game's kicking off soon. Man, this MF right here.
Pickens has the talent, but I think with the quarterback, the fields of quarterback, you cannot completely put your trust in him to get the ball to Pickens. Pickens needs someone who can actually deliver a pass. And Justin Fields is like he's taking all the offensive production. I think I literally heard the dude say today, the very first rushing touchdown by a running back that wasn't Fields himself happened with Najee Harris today. What the hell? My goodness, Pittsburgh. We're great day. Like, Fields and Harris, they had a really good game. But as far as Pickens, that's just not the strength of this team. This team is led by their defense. It's more TJ Watt's team than anybody else. And they just try to have an offense that caters to that. And that works against Pickens in a horrific way. Yeah. Pickens is someone who you probably, if you can afford it, as big as the name is, as good as the dude is, he's a beast. He just needs the ball delivered to him to execute on that. So, and this guy doesn't do that. We have 6 weeks of information that shows that. And that's just what you got to take away from it. This is becoming too consistently a bad game and a bad look for George Pickens. So it's just unfortunate. That's his situation right now.
Yeah, like that whole snap share thing. I don't know what the hell his snap share looked like this week. And even at the end of the game, you could see they were trying to force him a ball. Like, they were trying to force him to touch.
Because they know he pitched.
That's like, I don't need no consolation. Yeah, because like, just get him the ball in normal form of business. But again, I see why they're not, because they're doing well. And also in this game, you didn't have to, so why would you? The thing that George Pickens needs is Russell Wilson. And you're not going to get Russell Wilson if Justin Fields keeps winning games. I know that. It's a great defense. Justin Fields, like we saw, well, no, not like we saw. He did well for DJ Moore, but like Justin Fields, like you said, is like the consumer of the offense when he plays. So like all those checkdowns that you will get from typical quarterbacks, especially Russell Wilson, the running backs don't get them like that. Like all these rushing opportunities, it worked out great for Najee. You talk about a sell high, Najee Harris.
Oh, yes.
Worked out great for him, but man, that is not typical. That is not typical for him. Like Justin Fields he's a fantasy point suck for all the rest of the offense. And for George Pickens, it doesn't help when you're just kind of pouty and shit on the sideline. So like, it doesn't make me want to invest in him. I'm probably not going to be starting him if I have him on my teams, if I'm still not like 0 something. Like, I'm just gonna that's one of those guys kind of like how we felt about Drake London after the first week or first couple of weeks, how I felt about Tank Dell until today. I was like, I'm happy to let you do that on the bench until you're basically, it's almost like me punishing them on my own fantasy team, which doesn't matter at all. But like, I need to see you do it first before I trust you in my lineup. And George Pickens is officially part of that team now.
For sure.
Yep. All right. So I think we only have a few more. I'm going to just kind of quickly click through these. We may see some repeats, but we're just going to give like 20-second answers on each one. All right.
Let's do it.
We did that guy already. Did that guy already. Did that guy. Pause. That sounds crazy. All right. Real quick. I'll give 20 seconds on Barkley. Very disappointing. It technically is a tough defense. I'm not super concerned. But this definitely doesn't help you if you had Saquon. He's been a beast. I think he's going to have better days.
For sure. I mean, it happens. It's football. I would love to have him on my team. If somebody's that mad, trade him.
Facts. Buy low if you can.
Yes.
Talked about the Godwin. Talked about these bums. Talked about this man. Talked about this. Oh, we got through most of these. Did we get through all these? All right, your boy.
I want to say this dude.
Yeah.
With Drake May, he had a pretty good game. This guy has been getting a lot of targets. So it's going back for like 2 or 3 weeks right now. So we don't know if Polk or Douglas are pretty much the WR1 for this team. But this guy has more experience and I think is more affiliated and understands the actual overall offense. So given that it's been 3 weeks in a row, he's got a lot of targets. Of course, he scored and had a pretty good game today. If you really need a wide receiver and you don't want to trade and waste any of your players to go ahead and acquire one, if he is on the waiver wire, try to go ahead and get DeMario Douglas. That's one of the things I wanted to say.
100%. Like Drake May played well enough, especially against the Texans defense. That's not easy as a rookie going against DeMeco Ryans in that unit. But it's funny, Drake May, when he was in Carolina, guess who his number one receiver was? Josh Downs. Very similar style of a player in the slot. And so I do think that there's a world where DeMario Douglas, I don't think he's going to be some dynamo. And he did a lot of that, like kind of late in the game. I don't want to say he was lucky, but he's clearly a part of this offense. And this is clearly a team who's going to be throwing a lot. So I do think in PPR, there's definitely worse options, especially on bye weeks. All right. And then I think this is the last one. Bijan finally looked like something today. 2 rushing touchdowns. He was very much due for that. 3 or 4 for 10 yards. That's whatever. Tyler Algier was also okay in this game. I think he was, just want to pull it up real quick. Yeah, Algier went for 18. He went for 18 carries for 105, 1 touchdown, 2-point conversion. Yeah, like they balled out. I mean, Carolina could not stop a cold on the ground.
Yeah. Unfortunately, totally agree. Bijan's a monster. Anyone who was concerned, do not let go of Bijan. Keep Bijan. He's that dude. Make sure you keep Bijan. They give him the opportunities. They know what they got.
100%. Last thing, real quick. Pick what's going to happen in tonight's game. Sunday Night Football. Bengals, Giants.
Bengals. I think Bengals all day because the Giants don't have Malik Neighbors or Devin Singletary, and they saw what Tyrone Tracy can do. If you prepare for that and the weapons that the Bengals have, I just don't think that the Giants can really stop them. The Giants' main strength is that dude in the middle on the defensive line. I can't remember his name right now. He is admittedly a beast, but they got Jamar Chase, they got Higgins, they got Eric All, they got Gesicki, and they got Burrow who can go ahead and get the ball to him. I think it's going to be a pretty easy win for the Bengals. I'd be shocked if they lose.
I'd be shocked if they lose. Like Brian Burns, your boy from Carolina, he's there too. I think they lead the league, or they're at least lead the league the last few weeks in pressure. So that is going to be a real thing. But like you said, like Joe Burrow's been playing almost like at a 95th percentile at quarterback over the last few weeks. The defense has been letting them down. I know that they had a players only meeting this week, and I know sometimes those don't mean anything, but they have guys on the defense. They're just playing badly. So that may potentially turn some things around. So I do expect the Bengals to win because they are not going to go 1-5 with that roster. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hopping in here. It's been a while. I was on vacation, but we're back at it. Week 7 coming up next week. If you guys want to watch the show, make sure you guys are tapped in, giving us a follow on this site, Player Profiler News, but also go to TikTok, give us a follow there. You're going to hear all about all the information prior to the games get going, so you don't have to deal with any of these misses. You can hop in the start sits, get your questions answered, and be like Isaac, who started Chris Godwin and dominated today. All right, guys, thanks so much for being in here. Eric, you got anything for the people?
Oh, no, just enjoy the game and just have fun doing this all the time, man. I enjoy doing what we're doing right now. Let's just all go get these dubs.
Let's get these dubs. And have a good one, guys. Good luck tonight and good luck next week. But make sure you guys tap into us and subscribe to us everywhere. Peace out.
Peace.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.